how's it going? My name is David. Welcome back to another Kyosho RC Garage update. Just a mini vlog of what I've been up to. Weather's not been great recently. Certainly not for going to the park and doing RC, and work's been busy as well, so I haven't really been out shooting running videos or anything like that. I've actually been working on my racers, so today I'm mostly going to be talking about my circuit racers, so if that doesn't really interest you, then feel free to bail out right now. So on the bench in front of me at the moment, we have my indoor circuit racers. From left to right, we've got the Yokomo YZ4 SF2. I'll talk a little bit more about that one in a moment. In the center, we have the Tamiya TT02B, and to the right is the Yokomo YZ2 Cal 3.1. Let's begin with the TT02B first. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while now, you know that towards the end of last year, I started going to my local indoor carpet RC circuit, a place called Kyosho RC Park. And I really got bitten by the race bug big time. I started out racing a DT02 MS in their DT02, DT03 race series, and also picked up a Grasshopper. The first race in that series, I actually ran a Grasshopper 2, but then switched to a Grasshopper 1 for what was my second race, but was actually the final race in that series of last year. And then starting in December, Kyosho RC Park actually began a new race series featuring TT02Bs. Now, if you want to know the regulations and more information on it, I've got a couple of videos, including one where I talk about the build of this, so go check that out. Now, speaking of Kyosho RC Park, they're actually closed at the moment. They closed early January, and they're due to reopen sometime later this month. And the reason being, they're actually relocating to much larger premises, and the circuit is going to be rebuilt much larger. And so in the downtime between the old location closing and the new one opening, just been doing lots of maintenance, hop-ups and things like that, and also adding another four-wheel drive high-end buggy to the garage. So the TT02B, I picked this up as a first try kit, stripped it down, put bearings in it, and then for my first couple of times at Kyosho, I was just running it just to see what issues there would be, what problems there would be, and straight away noticed there was some things that absolutely you need to mod to a TT02B to make it competitive, certainly on an indoor carpet track. The most notable one is basically the steering system. The stock steering system has way too much play in it, so that was one of the first things to update. Aluminium steering upgrade, also high torque servo saver and aluminium servo mount. From there, the old Kyosho circuit was quite small and technical, and I just didn't have enough steering, so I ended up replacing the front dog bones with universals just so I could get a bit more steering angle. Another mod that I did earlier on was the stock suspension towers, a soft flexible plastic, so they don't tend to break, but they're not ideal if you want precise handling, particularly on like a indoor carpet circuit. So replace those with Tamiya's carbon fiber shock towers front and rear. And that's pretty much how I ran for the first race. Oh, I also replaced the dampers. I had a lot of trouble with the yellow CVA dampers leaking and breaking, so I ended up replacing those for the first race as well. Now, the regulations are you must use a stock gearing, stock motor, stock tires, but aside from that, pretty much anything goes. Now, in the downtime, I've done a couple more mods. One thing I did notice after numerous battery packs and numerous race days is the chassis has got a lot of flex in it. It doesn't look like it would have. It seems to be quite sturdy as chassis go, certainly when you compare it to something like a Sandscorcher or something like that. But nevertheless, particularly on frontal impacts, it tends to bend up a lot, and I think that most easily illustrated by looking at my old body. You can see the body mounts front and rear have become quite elongated just because the chassis tends to bow up when you crash into something. So I wanted to address that, And the easiest way to do that is there are a couple of chassis braces, but they don't seem to work very well with the TT-02B chassis because of the rear spur being much larger. So Tamiya offer what they call a reinforced hard main chassis. So I picked up one of those, and obviously that entailed, you know, basically stripping the buggy down and moving everything across. So at the same time, I figured I might as well pick up the reinforced, hard reinforced lower suspension arms, and also diff covers front and rear. And what else did I do? I also replaced the rear drive shafts. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the stock ones. They're plastic with metal pins. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. In fact, they're very hard wearing, surprisingly so. I just changed it simply for aesthetics. I just wanted it to match the front. So I replaced the rear drive shafts with universals as well. Aside from that, I've also redone the rear wing. The stock wing on the Neo Scorcher is very thin and flimsy, and it rips off very, very easily. I went through 3 wings in the space of a couple of months. Unfortunately, the stock wing mount for the TT02B Neo Scorcher, it's set at quite a steep angle, and so you can't really just easily put another wing on without it being at a quite steep angle. And so I went ahead and fitted a Yokomo rear wing mount. This means drilling into the carbon fiber, but when it's done, you can mount pretty much any, you know, high-end wing, and you know, wings from buggies like the Yokomo YZ2 or YZ4, they tend to be much thicker polycarbonate and a little bit more resistant to tearing off. Aside from that, no other real changes. Oh, I also fitted the aluminium motor mount and aluminium center drive shaft, prop shaft, just for looks more than anything else. That's it for the TT02B. I've really enjoyed racing it. Hopefully Kyosho will continue the race series at the new location. Looking forward to it. Oh, and I've just noticed a couple of the minor things. Just wheel nuts to the serrated type, just to avoid having one of the nylon lock nuts work loose. It does tend to happen a lot, you know, with frequent wheel changes. But that's about it, really. Okay, on to a new addition to the Kai City RC Garage, a Yokomo YZ4 SF2 4-wheel drive high-end buggy. I picked this up simply because I've been so impressed with the YZ2, the 2-wheel drive buggy. I've driven that around Kyosho circuit more times than I can count. Very impressed with the build quality, very impressed with the performance, very impressed with the reliability. I can honestly say I picked it up in September, October time of last year. I ran it pretty much every weekend. Thousands, I won't say, yeah, it must have been thousands of laps around that track, and in all honesty, I only had 2 issues in the entire time. One was a screw worked loose on the front axle and the wheel came off, and the second one was on the very, very last day of Kyosho, the old location. I hit the barrier really hard and broke the front upright, and that was it. After countless laps, numerous battery packs, more crashes than I care to even think about, that was all I broke. I mean, the bodies looked, well, certainly it's seen better days, but yeah, I was very, very impressed. If you're on the fence about getting a high end and you're kind of put off by the initial cost, don't be. Yeah, I mean, you can have great fun with any buggy. I enjoy running grasshoppers and DT02s and anything around the circuit just as much as I enjoy running high end, but yeah, high end is just a step above everything else when it comes to, in my case, just reliability. Now, I wanted to pick up a 4-wheel drive version of this, mostly for a couple of reasons. I was just very curious, and also with Kyosho moving to a new circuit, which is probably going to be a lot larger, I suspect that more people are going to start running high-end there, and just wanted to be involved in it, so picked up a YZ4 SF2. Sadly, this has just been discontinued now. It's been replaced by a new model, the YZ4 MO, I believe. It's essentially the same buggy, but instead of it instead of you picking this up and having to buy options in order to make it more suitable for dirt, things like center diff and a few other bits and pieces, you get absolutely everything included in the box, including a load of upgrades as well. But as it's only just come out, it's really expensive. I actually picked this up cheap online on the sale, and so this is my YZ4. Electronics wise, it's running exactly the same setup that I run in my two-wheel drive. So budget oriented hobby wing, what is it, I think 13.5 turn motor, they're just stock XR something 10 ESC. Basically electronics wise, it's identical to my two-wheel drive buggy. So all freshly built, just waiting now for Connors RC circuit to reopen so I can take this down for a shake run. So looking forward to running this one. And there we are, joined by the Yokomo YZ2 Car 3.1, the two-wheel drive buggy. As you can see, I've redone my race livery for 2023. Last year I started out with a red, white and blue kind of Union Jack inspired theme, you know, just because being a foreigner at the circuit, you know, people often ask where I'm from and stuff like that, and I figured, well, I might as well do a color scheme that kind of speaks to where I'm from originally. In actual fact, it had the added bonus, completely by accident, but the added bonus that the red on white, it forms a line, and it makes it very easy to position the car on the circuit once it's, you know, like the far end of the circuit, especially right when it's on the bank. I found that this car is a lot easier to kind of position and, you know, hit the apexes, just because the contrasting colors when I compare it to, for example, my TT02 or my Grasshopper, which basically one color only and just gray. So for this year, same color scheme, fewer inspirations though. If you don't know, I was back in the day huge Nissan GTR fan. So it's kind of got a few, if you're familiar with the Nissan GTR and the Man Racers, stuff like that, you'll probably pick up some of the color schemes from this. But also, you know, Union Jack colors again, and somebody mentioned on Instagram, it kind of reminds them of Spider-Man colors, and I suppose it does in a way. So I'm actually currently working on a new body for my TT02 racer to go into this livery as well. So that's it for this RC garage update. Now, non-carpet racers, I will be shooting another Kyosho Legends, four-wheel drive Legends review comparison video in a similar vein to my two-wheel drive one. Now that I've finished, I've got the complete collection of all the four-wheel drives, the Optima, Turbo Optima, Javelin and Optima Mid. Just the weather isn't great at the moment, and I also plan to do another running video featuring all of the Legendary Series buggies. And again, I could shoot it now, but I'd rather wait until the location, the scenery is much more suitable. So that's going to come probably sometime in March, early April. So stay tuned for that. And of course, once Carnos RC Park reopens, I'll do a couple of videos down there, so everyone can see what the new circuit is like, and also see these running on the circuit. Well, that's it for this RC garage update. Happy RCing, and I'll catch you in the next one.